Hey, everybody. So, I wanted to talk this week about the idea of transforming challenges into blessings. And it's not an easy thing to do. I also want to be really clear that I'm not here to spiritually bypass anything. Spiritually bypassing, by the way, for people who don't know, means like skipping to the end or pretending that life isn't hard or pretending that everything is just light and love. But actually, what transforming a challenge is into a blessing is just widening your horizon of how to see the situation that you're in so you can move through it a little bit differently and then have a different result. We all have energetic patterns, we all have behavioral patterns, we all project the past into the future. We call it a prediction or an expectation where we assume this thing's going to happen or that person's going to act that way because they always do, or this and this and this, which is actually the best way to just take your resentment, rejection, regrets from the past, take that energy and just splash it onto your future. So, the way to change that is called diffraction, where it's basically diffraction is if you look up in the dictionary, it's when the light comes through and it splits into different colors, or the glass has it in a different way, so it's coming in this direction and then it goes out that way. It changes the movement so it hits the trigger differently. So instead of the water hitting against the rock over and over again, I want you to start thinking of that challenge, whereas you were the water and that challenge is the rock. Think of it now as the challenge is the glass and you are the light. So you're going to look at it differently and you're going to move through it differently. So the way that we do that is just by asking yourself, and this is a blessing because. So for example, like my, my boyfriend doesn't respond to text messages, and I see he's online, and I see his online, and I see the two blue checks, and that's really hard for me. And then just feeling into it, and this is a blessing because I'm noticing that I'm giving away my pattern, and this is a blessing because when I notice that I'm giving away my energy or my power, then it means I can bring that power back to me or take a moment to slow it down. And this is a blessing because when I slow things down, I can ask myself in that moment what I really need. And this is a blessing because when I slow down and ask myself what I really need, it's usually something I can give myself and not something that my boyfriend has to give me or that my boyfriend needs to give me in that moment, but that's actually something that's available to me right now. So asking yourself in those series of, and this is a blessing because, and this is a blessing because, what it does is it takes what used to be the trigger and the rock of this thing, this unmovable force and this unmovable object, and just hitting it against each other over and over again. But it just starts diffracting it. It starts breaking it down and moving it away. So it's not spiritual bypassing. It's really getting you to think about it differently enough to actually move through it differently. So another example would be um, something like I failed my test, and this is a blessing because that's a hard one. This is a blessing because I am reflecting of how much time I'm actually giving school versus my other things that I want, and this is a blessing because I'm realizing more and more that school isn't aligned for me and those other things are. And this is a blessing because when I slow down and think about it, I know that I need school for my greater objectives or my greater goals. And this is a blessing because I know when I have those greater goals, I can also pivot myself or realign myself to make sure I'm focusing on the things I need to create those goals. And this is a blessing because when I'm aligned with my goals, the world is a better place. So just keep asking yourself that question again and again. And this is a blessing because. So write out your challenge on a piece of paper in that one sentence. I failed my test. My boyfriend didn't answer those text messages. The house is messy. Whatever it is, it's something that the camera can capture and then write out. You want to do it 3 or 4 layers or maybe even 5 layers. And this is a blessing because, and this is a blessing because until it feels with you, that the challenge is something that you actually are grateful for. And what's also going to do is it's going to help you not just change your perspective, but change your approach to it. So, for the school example, and this is a blessing because I can actually connect to the students in my class to ask them to study with me instead of socializing with friends outside of school. And this is a blessing because, I want to really connect with my writing, but I'm in a new relationship, so therefore, I'm not focusing on the writing that I want to as much. Like all of those things. So just keep asking yourself those questions and it's going to eventually align with your other values as well. Anyways, hope everyone's going to have a great, great week and excited to hear everybody's results.